It's mid-September in Ohio, and that means soybean harvest is starting to get underway. I'd heard word that someone was running beans over in Darke County, made a few phone calls, and got in touch with Bobby Stump. And indeed, he wasn't running, but he said his dad was and would love to have us come over. Our Fall Cab Cam series is brought to you by Precision Agri-Services, Inc. Precision Agri-Services is a dealer for Agro-Eco Power. This is an ECM tuning company that can safely increase torque and increase power on your farm equipment. Visit them at precisionagriservices.com to learn more. So when I got to the field and caught up with Bobby, his dad Bob was in the combine. Well, seems like Bob's been farming for 70 plus years. They said I could crawl up in the cab with Bob, and I said, well, this whole COVID thing, I'd rather not. And Bobby's response was, well, Dad hasn't been anywhere. He's not going to get you sick. And I thought, wow, it's that kind of attitude that I guess that keeps you farming for 91 plus years. Here's my conversation with Bob Stump. So, Bob, how many years have you actually been farming?
Well, that depends a little bit on what you would say farming. Farming on my own, probably 70, 71 years. And started farming there years ago when I was in high school. My brother used to hitch the horses up and go bring corn shocks up and shred corn and stuff. And that was when I was like 16, I guess, or something like that. And I've been on the farm all my life and working at it all this time. I've really been lucky too that I can do that for all these years.
So the folks that are trying to do the math, you're 91 years old, correct?
Yes, I was 91, 1st of August.
And you still run the combine every year?
Yeah, I have so far. And I keep on, some of the neighbors are kidding me about my son has to put me up in the manure loader up here, and I said, no, when that happens, then I'm going to quit.
I did see the only modification you've made to the combine, you did put an extra step in, but other than that, you climb up and down the ladder.
Yes, I do. Yes, I did put a step on there, but I don't always use it, but sometimes I do need to.
All right, so we're here September 14th. You're taking off some early beans. Tell me a little bit about them. When were these beans planted?
I can't tell you exactly about that when we did sow them. It was early, I know that. But Robbie, my grandson, sowed them, so he's got the dates written down. I don't know for sure, but it was early, I know that. Some of the first was sowed around. But and I'm well pleased with what they're yielding. According to this monitor, of course you can't always go by the monitor, but it's registering anything from 50 to 70, so who knows. We'll know when we take them to town and sell them or get them weighed, and we're planning on doing that.
So do you use auto steer, or do you still drive the combine?
No, I still drive it and work the header on manual too. I could have it on automatic, but I like to put it where I want it, so I run it manually.
So the John Deere combine, what do you like about these John Deeres, these new ones?
Well, I don't really have the newest ones yet, but I do like what we have. You know, the capacity's good, and they do a decent job of shelling and collecting the grain and beans and wheat. I've been satisfied with them. I've seen other combines been around them. I've had I used to have several of them Massey Harris Clipper pull-type combines years ago. I had 6 or 7 of them. I liked them when we had a big enough tractor to pull them. Then I traded for an Oliver 525 combine. Then I had a New Holland. And then I went with a 6600 John Deere and a 7720 and 96 something. Gosh, I don't know. I've had so many John Deere combines the last few years, I can't tell you exactly how many I've had. But I like this one better than any one I've had. I had a 9860 for a while. It was bigger, and I really didn't like it that well, so I traded back for this size 9670, and I like this much better.
So did you ever combine soybeans in an open station combine?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I forgot I left out the first one. I traded my Masters for a self-propelled combine. I got a John Deere 45, and it did not have a cab on it. And it'd be so dirty and dusty, sometimes you'd have to go the one in the field, run the beans one way because you couldn't see the header. It was so dusty and dirty. And I had I had an Oliver 525. It had a cab on it, but it had the motor right back of the cab, and it was a sweat box. You couldn't hardly stand it in there in the summertime around wheat. It really got hot.
So all of the innovations you've seen over the years in farming, in 70 years, what's been the thing that has made the biggest difference in your life as a farmer?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that ever happened, the biggest improvements, was when they come with that Max-Emerge planter. That new John Deere Max-Emerge was a great invention. It it put the grain down there in the ground about where it ought to be, and you didn't have to worry about getting a half a stand. It was one of the greatest things I think that ever happened. Then, way back when I started, my dad always planted corn with the horses and stuff, and I used to be out there and turn the marker and stuff. So it went from horse days to clear up here to modern days, and I just feel lucky that I've been able to live and through all them times, and it's been an interesting time, I tell you.
So did you ever think the equipment would get as big as it is?
No, I never did. And I don't have, this has got a 35-foot head on it, and that's not near as big as, so these draper heads, I don't know, they're 40-some feet. And they take a swath now. And I do remember when I was farming down here, when I first started there, when I was about 21, 2 years old, I had a guy come with his little international combine and run beans for me, and we planted them then in 36-inch rows, and he could run one row at a time. He had I don't know, his little combine, it was a little international, but it would only take one row. So you think of that, and versus something like this that would take 35 feet is a big change.
So tell me a little bit about the farm. You farm with your son and your grandson, correct?
I do now, yes. And my son Bobby now, I think he goes overboard helping me, doing more for me than maybe he really should. But it's comforting to know that he's there when I need him.
And talk a little bit about the opportunity to farm with your grandson.
Oh yes, that's been great too. Grandson here, it works out pretty good. I run the big tractor working ground in the spring of the year, and Bobby plants with a 16-row planter, and Robbie's got we've got a 40-foot drill. Robbie drills all the beans and stuff, and it works great for us. And then the fall of the year, I run the combine. Bobby's got one too, and Robbie's always there with the grain trucks and picking up the grain, and he does all the grunt work, you might want to say, because he does all the hard work. But and it works so far, and we all seem to be able to get along pretty good together. A lot of times that don't work very well, family and stuff. But so far we've been pretty lucky to be able to get along with each other, and things work pretty good for us.
It's hard to imagine the amount of change that Bob Stump has seen in Ohio agriculture in 70 plus years. I don't know that we'll ever see that type of change happen over the next 70, but it sure was a treat for me to get to visit with Bob in the combine. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Bart Johnson.